personal goal of mine whenever I take on a new coaching client is to help them find the money that they need in order to pay for the coaching services in the first place. Most of the time, my clients don't need to go take a second job or find a side hustle or go sell their furniture. The interesting thing is that many people have the money that they already need in order to achieve certain goals or to pay for things that they really want to purchase, and that money is simply hidden throughout expenses that they already have in their daily lives. On average, I'm able to help my clients find around $200 to $300 in savings that they can then reallocate towards things that are more important to them. In some cases, I've been able to help certain clients find close to $1,000 in savings. This happened with my client Rob, who just after 2 months of working together was able to save over $800. This also happened with another couple that I worked with, Jessica and her husband Casey, who after working together for a month, they were able to pay off one of their personal loans. Once we started diving into their finances together, I realized that there were a lot of things that they were buying and purchasing that they really didn't need to be paying for. So in this video, I want to share with you the top 10 things that you can stop paying for in order to save more money based on the things that I have helped my clients save money on as well. Hello, if you are new around here, I'm Katie Jones. I am a faith-based money coach, and I help young professionals learn excellent money management skills that are rooted in the gospel. That way they can focus their money on things that are more important to them and ultimately pursue their callings without any financial hesitation. And if that resonates with you, I'd love for you to join us inside of my free community called Redeeming Your Finances, where you'll find tons of awesome resources as well as be able to enjoy conversations with other passionate young professionals who want to become more like Jesus through the way that they use their personal finances. So you probably already don't spend a lot of money on some of the things I'm about to share on this list, because the reality is you are probably a pretty savvy person if you are watching this video and curious about how to save more money. Instead, I want you to see this as a challenge to listen to all these 10 things and figure out which few items are there that you're still paying for, and I want to challenge you to pick one or two of them to eliminate or even just reduce in your own budget. And let me know which items you do decide to eliminate or reduce from your budget. I'd be curious to see how it works out for you and find out how much you're actually able to save. First up on the list is something that I personally used to spend a lot of money on, and that item is books. As an avid book reader myself, if I were to go and spend money on all of the 61 books that I read in 2021, I would have spent hundreds, if not getting close to $1,000. My client Heather is the same way, where she also reads lots of books and recognized that certain months she was spending close to $50. Now, there are a few options out there for getting reduced prices on books if you still want to go and purchase a book, and that is simply by looking at places like thriftbooks.com or even by searching under the used button when you are looking at books on Amazon. However, if you're looking for a totally free option for books, I would highly recommend checking out your local library. This honestly saves me hundreds of dollars, and if you are currently purchasing lots of books, I highly recommend checking them out from your local library. The next item on this list can also be found at your local library, and that is movies. Let's be honest, going out on a date to a movie theater these days is stupid expensive. And really, if I'm being super honest, I actually don't love going to the movie theaters anymore. I mean, not only is it super annoying that you can't like pause the movie to go and take a quick bathroom break or grab more snacks, but I also don't love how loud movie theaters have gotten. I actually love just watching movies simply at home on my couch, and there's tons of options out there. Many of us have subscription services like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime where you have access to hundreds of movies already. But if you don't see a movie that you like, check out your local library. Yes, it does require waiting a couple months for a movie to get out of the theaters and into your hands, but it's definitely worth it in order to save the tons of money that I could be spending at the theater. So the next item on this list does require a little bit of creativity and a little work on your end in order to get it for free. And by the way, it's also only for those 21 years and older, because that item is actually beer and hard seltzer. If you're not familiar with the app called Field Agent, I highly recommend you grab it for yourself, because not only can you earn a little bit of extra cash for doing things like going to your local Target and taking a picture of the deodorant display. True story, I did earn money that way once. Field Agent is a really cool app where you get to go undercover and do secret missions to find out how certain stores are marketing things, as well as go undercover to test out products and write reviews. And one of those things happens to be beer and hard seltzer. Field Agent for the last year has had tons of beer and hard seltzer jobs where you get to try a product totally for free, and then you also get paid to write your own thoughts on this product. I highly recommend you check out Field Agent for yourself. It has helped my husband and I to earn hundreds of dollars every single year doing simple tasks at our local stores. And if you're interested in checking it out, go click on the link in the show notes below, because I did write a full blog post on how to make the most of your Field Agent app. The next item on this list is actually something that you can also find on the Field Agent app. It is something that most of us are addicted to. It's something that most of us have to start our days out, or even to give us that boost in the afternoon. If you haven't already caught my drift, that thing is coffee. Chances are, if you are a coffee drinker and lover like myself, you probably spend hundreds, if not close to thousands of dollars on coffee every single year. If you were to go out and get coffee every single day and spent on average about $5 on those trips, you would be spending about $2,000 at the end of the year only on coffee. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my coffee, but it doesn't need to be super expensive. Years ago, when I first started tracking my money and ultimately budgeting it, I realized that I was spending close to $100 or $200 every single month just on simple coffee runs. This was so crazy to me. I had no idea how much I was actually spending on these little tiny expenses for coffee every single day. And what was so crazy was that I actually realized that I have so many options for free coffee in my life already. But if you're like me, you probably still enjoy the experience of going out and getting coffee. So that's why I would recommend checking out the Panera Plus coffee subscription. After taxes are factored in, I spend less than $10 every single month to be a part of the Panera coffee subscription. Now, what this does is allow me to have unlimited coffee every single day of the month. You heard me right. You can go and grab a fresh cup of coffee every 2 hours. Otherwise, I'd highly recommend just trying out making coffee at home for yourself, because it definitely is, at the end of the day, a little bit more affordable. One of my former clients, Taylor, really didn't think it was possible for her to stop going to Starbucks. She was pretty much a Starbucks loyalist, but I encouraged her to kind of cut back just a little bit on her Starbucks runs. And what she actually found, to her surprise, was that she enjoyed making her coffee at home from her own kitchen. The next item on this list is something that right now I'm not spending a ton of money on, because my husband and I live in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado, and that thing is parking. When we do venture downtown Denver, we like to try to find free parking when possible. If you're able and you're willing to walk a couple blocks to get wherever you're going, it may be worth it to save a few bucks to park somewhere free versus parking in an expensive parking lot. Now, the other thing is airport parking. That is something that my husband and I currently do pay for. And so I want to give you 2 tips for how to, first off, get reduced prices on airport parking. And then second, I want to share with you a secret tip of mine for those of you in certain cities to get free airport parking. Now, the first tip is is to start by searching on a site like Groupon to see if they offer any kind of parking discounts. You'd actually be surprised that there are usually discounts and coupons and different codes out there. However, if you do live in either one of these cities, then you have the opportunity to get free airport parking. Avail is a newer form of car sharing where you basically get to drop off your car at their parking lot, which is typically pretty close to your airport. And you also get to enjoy the opportunity to possibly earn a little extra money if your car gets rented out. We tried it a couple times with my car before it reached a certain mileage and it was no longer eligible for sharing. Each of the times that we did drop it off at the airport, it never actually got rented out, so we never earned any money, but we did enjoy the opportunity to get the free parking while we could. If you're interested in checking out Avail, I did write a pretty extensive review on using them, and you can grab that link in the show notes below. Okay, so brace yourselves for this next one because it might come as a shock for a few of you, and that is the newest version of the phone that you have. Every year, major phone companies come out with their newest version of their smartphone. And every single year, it seems as though these phones are getting more and more expensive. I do find that many of my clients are stuck paying a cell phone payment. These phone companies hire super awesome marketers who are really good at producing ads, and they make it sound like this new phone is all the rage and you absolutely need it in order for your life to be fulfilled. Okay, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but they do a really great job at convincing you that this new version of the phone that you have is absolutely what you need. And not only that, but to sweeten the deal, they give you a special discount if you turn in your other model phone. And even though it may seem like a really good deal at the time, you still end up paying money that you probably didn't need to spend in the first place. Because the reality is the phone that you're about to trade in is probably still good. So these companies are really good at keeping you in that cycle of just getting used to always buying a new phone. And at some point, you need to break that cycle and realize that there are better ways you can be spending your money. So I would encourage you, first off, not to get a new phone if you don't need it. And then at that time, consider getting not the newest version of the model phone that you have, but consider getting maybe an older generation or even getting a refurbished and used version of the phone that you want. I was having a conversation with some family members over Christmas about how I honestly believe that we are going to see cable become obsolete in our lifetime. There are so many cheaper ways to watch the things that you want to watch these days. But I would caution you not to go and grab every single streaming platform out there, because then there's really no point, because you're not saving money in the long run after canceling your cable in the first place. So if you don't have cable and you have all of these streaming platforms, I would challenge you to think about which platforms do you use the most and which ones do you not use as often, and consider canceling those ones that you use less frequently. Last tip with cable and TV shows in general is that, again, going back to the library, which I super love, you can typically get most of the shows you want to watch on DVD. My husband and I are currently going through all of the Brooklyn Nine-Nine series, and we're getting all of these seasons from our local library. The next thing on this list of things that you really need to stop paying for are overdraft fees. Overdraft fees are basically the fee that you incur from your bank once your account hits zero and then you try to pull money out of it that doesn't exist. Your bank will then shoot you with a fee. If you're not careful, it can become real expensive real fast. It's really easy to get hit with an overdraft fee if you're not paying attention, but a simple solution if you are struggling with overdraft fees is to implement a budget. And if you're someone who regularly and consistently struggles with overdraft fees, I would highly recommend implementing a weekly budget. A weekly budget will allow you to plan out all of your paychecks week by week to make sure that you are using it appropriately to cover all of your expenses. And if you don't already have a budget for yourself, I'd love for you to check out the exact same budget spreadsheets that I use with each one of my coaching clients, as well as the same budget spreadsheets that my husband and I use to plan out all of our expenses. Each of them does have a monthly as well as a weekly template for you to use, so that way you don't have to incur any other overdraft fees. Okay, this next one is only for the ladies. Well, I guess men could possibly be doing this, but probably not most men. That expense is nails. Getting your nails done can be really fun, and it's really nice to have painted nails, but it can also be really expensive. So the compromise that I've come up with is investing in a really nice UV gel nail kit. The nails that I have painted right now are actually done using the UV nail kit. I really like doing it. The nails last really long and they look really great. I'll drop the link to the exact UV nail kit that I use in the show notes below. Okay. This last one is my ultimate favorite way that my husband and I have been saving money for the past 2 years. These days, cell phones are something that we cannot avoid. And we've already talked about saving money on new cell phones, but I want to talk about saving money on cell phone service. Many of us need our phones in order to connect with work as well as just do our daily lives. And so having good cell phone service is really important. In the past, it was common knowledge that if a cell phone provider was inexpensive, their service was probably not that good. And so in order to get really good cell phone coverage, you needed to have a more expensive provider. However, the good news is with the new technology they have, as well as increased amount of satellites in our skies and cell phone towers on our grounds, many providers have the same exact coverage. Sure, it may be true that in rural areas or even here in the mountains in Colorado, service can be spotty for certain service providers. And so in order to get good coverage, you may need a more expensive provider. However, if you do live in a bigger town or close to a city, then chances are the coverage is pretty much the same across the board, no matter which provider you end up choosing. So this is really good news for all of us, including my former client Rob, who in the past was spending almost $400 a month on his family of 4 to have good cell phone coverage. After making the switch to my favorite cell phone provider, Rob and his family are now paying only $120 for all of his family of 4 to get unlimited data. And that provider that we love so much is Mint Mobile. My husband and I are only paying $40 a month for the two of us, and we both each individually have 10 gigabytes of data. I'd encourage you to check out Mint Mobile for yourself to see if they have good coverage in your area. If you do decide to switch over to Mint Mobile, I would love for you to use our referral link, which is in the show notes below. You made it to the end of the list. I hope you found each of these items super helpful. And if you took me up on that challenge, I want to know which of these items you are planning to either reduce or eliminate from your monthly spending. I would love to know how much you're able to save by eliminating one of these expenses, or if you have any other items you would add to this list, definitely help us all out by dropping it into the comments below. That's it for today. If you did find this video helpful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I share weekly videos that will help you become a better steward of your finances. And as you wait for next week's video, check out this one on how my husband and I have been able to save hundreds of dollars on health costs by switching to a health cost sharing ministry.